Hey everyone, I was excited to do this video because I found a stock that could 5x in roughly 5 years. That's right, you could get 5 times your money investing in this stock over the next 5 years. Of course, there's a lot of uncertainty about this estimation and prediction. I'm going to share with you where I'm getting all of these numbers to make this stock price prediction. So follow along and let me share with you this excellent growth stock. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. All right, so the company I'm talking about is Chewy. I think Chewy's stock price has the chance to 5x in roughly 5 years by the end of 2030. So about 5.5 years, you could say, maybe 6 years. The company could 5x in that time, maybe sooner. I'm going to share with you where I'm getting the numbers. One of the numbers I'm going to use is its current share price, $16.55. Another number I'm going to use to make this prediction is its current forward price to earnings ratio of 17.47. Chewy's trading at a valuation near the lowest you've been able to buy this stock going back several years. Nevertheless, even if we assume the valuation remains constant, the valuation multiple remains constant, it doesn't put a dent in our stock price prediction. And that's because the earnings per share forecasts are so robust for Chewy. So the analysts on Wall Street that are following Chewy stock think it's going to deliver 37 cents in earnings per share next year. Now they have next year highlighted as 2026. It's a matter of fiscal year being different than calendar year. For you and me, this means next year in 2025. For Chewy, it's in their fiscal year 2026. So 37 cents earnings per share expected for Chewy next year. What's more impressive is the analysts on Wall Street that are following Chewy stock. They expect it's going to increase its earnings per share by roughly 79% each year over the next 5 years. Now, already Chewy's management team has done an excellent job in its unprecedented circumstances. It's an online pet retailer. And of course, it thrived during the pandemic when brick and mortar stores were closed. And then coming out of the pandemic, it faced the headwinds. But I felt that management has done an excellent job both going into the pandemic, right? Dealing with that increase in demand is not an easy thing to do, to all of a sudden face a surge in customers, to be able to handle that effectively. And I thought Chewy did a great job with that. I thought Chewy management did a great job with that. And then to deal with the quick turnaround in consumer behavior as economies reopen. I've thought that Chewy management did an excellent job both going in and coming out of the pandemic. They've already demonstrated excellent improvement in their profitability, in their profit margins. Now, nevertheless, 79% earnings per share forecast each year for the next 5 years, that's kind of hard to digest. So I'm going to revise that lower. I'm going to revise that lower to 60%. Right? I'm going to move it down by 1/4 to 60%. And still, the forecast for Chewy's stock price is excellent over the next 5 years. Let me share that with you. So here I have Chewy's stock price prediction model. And like I shared with you, the 37 cents in earnings per share is what is expected for Chewy next year, 2025. Okay. Now, the growth rate, I highlighted that I was revising it lower to 60%. Down from the 80% that Wall Street expects. So I'm making the estimate, assuming that the earnings per share are not going to be as strong as Wall Street expects. My expectations are lower than what Wall Street expects for Chewy over the next 5 years. My expectations are bullish, but less bullish than Wall Street on its earnings per share for the next 5 years, especially because management said that the current year is going to be so difficult. So I'm a little bit more cautious on the estimate for the next 5 years, but this is my base case, the area I think it's going to grow at. And if I apply that 60% growth rate to its 37 cents per share in EPS, I get an earnings per share estimate for 2031 of $6.21. $6.21, its earnings per share for 2031. So if I'm making a prediction for 2030, I need the 2031 EPS estimate. All right. So moving over to the right-hand side, I've got the EPS of $6.21. And if I apply the current 17.5 PE forward multiple, I get a stock price of $108.63 for Chewy by the end of 2030. Now that's more than 5x of where it's currently trading at, $16.55 per share. So you've got a stock here with the potential to more than 5x, and it could reach over 5x in less time than that, right? This is $108 by the end of 2030. So 5 times 16 is roughly $80 per share. So it can get to $80 per share before 2030 in roughly 5 years. But what if the forward PE multiple actually increases and it trades at a forward PE of 25? Then the stock price could actually almost 10x to $155 per share. If the forward PE were to rise to 28, the stock price could absolutely explode to $173 per share by the end of 2030. Now, it's not always upside. The valuation multiple could decrease. And if there was a decrease, if it were to decrease to 14, then the stock price would still rise all the way up to $86.91, which would still be a roughly 5x increase. It just would take until the end of 2030 to get there. So in all the scenarios I've highlighted here, I have Chewy stock price moving significantly higher from where it is today, multiples higher than where it is today. And the big reason for that is that big earnings per share growth expectation for Chewy over the next several years. The company has already established its logistics facilities, its warehouses, its delivery network, and all that. And they've also improved those facilities to be closer to customers, looking at their data over the past several years, improving those operations and making progress on their profit margins. That's what has Wall Street optimistic about Chewy's earnings per share growth over the next several years. So the company has done great. It's an online e-commerce retailer for pets specifically. So it does attract a niche market that's over $100 billion worth, right? The pet market in the US is over $100 billion. It's slowly expanding into Canada, right? Cautiously expanding into Canada, prudently expanding, taking it step by step, collecting the data, finding out how to most effectively expand. So by the next 5 years, if that's successful, it should be rolled out in more markets in Canada, which could be more upside for Chewy. And a large percentage of the company's business is recurring in nature. So management mentioned over 70% of their sales are recurring sales. Similar to, how on Amazon you have subscribe and save, where you just say, all right, send me a 12-pack of pineapple juice once every month. Chewy is very similar, where its customers, a larger part of their customers order things that they need every month for their pets, like their food, for example, or their medication. They say every month, send me one of these things or two of these things. And that allows Chewy to better optimize the business more so than Amazon, which doesn't have a large percentage of its sales on a recurring basis. They have more sales that are random, just out of the blue. Someone thinks about something that they want to buy and they order it. More than 70% of Chewy's sales are recurring. That allows it to optimize inventory management, delivery, all of that, because they know on the 1st of the month, on the 15th of the month, they need to get this item to that customer. That's how it's been every month for the last 6 months. And so they can plan their inventory better. They can reduce their manufacturing footprint. They don't need to have as much, their warehouse footprint. They don't need to have as many facilities if they know when and where they're going to need to ship an item. So they could bring the item in just ahead of the time they need to ship it out. And so it's not sitting around in warehouses. And that little advantage plays a big role in operations and profit margins. And that's one of the reasons Wall Street is optimistic about Chewy stock, as am I. Not only am I suggesting the stock price could increase by multiples over the next 5 years, I have Chewy stock rated as one of my top 25 stocks to buy in 2024 and one of my top 10 recommended growth stocks to buy in 2024. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.